If you are using AI to be more efficient when writing Airflow DAGs, this video is for you. The Astro IDE is an in-browser AI-assisted IDE designed specifically for Airflow DAG development. The AI is aware of your Airflow version, existing repository patterns, and your environment. The key is context. General-purpose AI tools are great for a broad range of use cases, but the Astro IDE is specifically designed for DAG authoring and has curated version-aware context. To showcase that, let's compare the Astro IDE with Cursor and the Gemini 3 model. First, we start a free Astro trial which includes the Astro IDE. Let me quickly enter my email address, set a password and fill out some details. Once my email is confirmed, I can start the free trial. Let's choose Personal, enter some organization and workspace and continue. We skip the import to start with an empty setup. Let's jump right into the Astro IDE. Here we enter our prompt, which will use the asset decorator, so a modern Airflow feature. Our prompt says, create an Airflow 3.1 data-oriented pipeline using the asset syntax. The flow is, first asset, read quotes from the ZenQuotes API. Second asset, select a random quote. Third asset, print the random quote. But before we hit create, let us set up a local project for Cursor. Let's create a project directory and use the Astro CLI to quickly generate a basic Airflow project. Now let's open Cursor and enter the exact same prompt for a side-by-side comparison. While we watch the magic happen, I will fill up my coffee. Alright, the Astro IDE is done. Let's wait for Cursor to finish. Now that both are done, let's check the generated code by the Astro IDE. What I want to highlight here, it used airflow.sdk to import the asset decorator, so it is aware of the Airflow 3 task SDK. Let's check the Cursor generated code. Okay, so on first sight, I think the import for asset looks wrong. Also, there's no schedule for any of the assets. Anyway, time to start Airflow and let our DAGs run, starting with the Astro IDE. To keep things clean, let us delete the example DAG that came with the project first. Alright, in the Astro IDE, we simply click on the Start Test Deployment button to start a fully functional Airflow environment. Once started, we can run DAGs right from the IDE via the test view. But instead, let us open the Airflow UI. No import errors, so let's open the DAGs view and trigger the first DAG generated by the asset decorator. Looks great, and if we check the logs, we see our quote. Back to Cursor, let's start a local Airflow setup. What's that? I forgot to set up Docker again. Well, this will take a while, so back to the Astro IDE. Since the first code generation went well, let's prepare a more challenging case. For that, I will create a connection in Astro. These connections are available for a broad range of systems, and you can either make them automatically available for all deployments in the current workspace or be more selective. Let's create a Snowflake connection that all deployments can use. Let me finish entering the credentials without sharing the screen. Okay, once created, we can go back to the Astro IDE and use a second follow-up prompt. Create a task-oriented pipeline that also triggers on the select random quote asset. It should include two tasks. First, create a Snowflake table for quotes if it does not exist already. Second, append the quote to the table. Use the Snowflake default connection. While the magic happens, Docker should be ready, so back to Cursor and let us start Airflow locally. And as expected, we have an import error because of an invalid import. We take care of that later. Back to the fun part. The Astro IDE finished its work. It added the up-to-date provider packages for Common SQL and Snowflake. It is using the TaskFlow API with decorators, and it is using the SQL execute query operator rather than the deprecated Snowflake operator. Now that the changes are synced to the deployment, let's open Airflow and trigger the first DAG in the process. all green. So let's have a quick look at the graph view just to see the 2 tasks that the Astro IDE created for us. And finally, let's open Snowflake and refresh our Data Explorer. There's a new table. Let's see if it has any data. Looks good, our quote was inserted. Back to cursor, let's help it a bit. And another error. Well, like I mentioned, schedules are missing and the way it uses assets overall needs a lot of refactoring actually. While I fixed that, why don't you start an Astro trial and give it a try? Enjoy!